Hi folks, this is take-home assignment 3. We're given an inequality, asked to solve for x squared minus 4x less than or equal to the absolute value of x minus 4. So one thing we notice is that we're going to have a quadratic inequality, which means we're going to have to use a sign diagram at some point. And the other thing is we've got an absolute value in there. And so we're going to first reduce this into two different cases. So the absolute value of something is one of two things. It's either the opposite of what you plug in, if what you plug in is less than 0, or it's just the thing you plugged in, if the thing you plug in is bigger than or equal to 0. So in our case, we have the absolute value of x minus 4. And so that's either the opposite of the quantity x minus 4, if x minus 4 is less than 0, or it's the quantity x minus 4 itself, if x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 0. I can simplify this. It's either the opposite of x plus 4 if x is less than 4, or it's x minus 4 if x is bigger than or equal to 4. And so this is what determines the two cases for our inequality. So case 1, x is less than 4. So my inequality, x squared minus 4x is less than or equal to the absolute value of x minus 4, can be reduced to x squared minus 4x is less than or equal to, and for x less than 4, the absolute value of x minus 4 is this. I have a nonlinear inequality. The highest power of x is x squared here, so I'm going to get everything on one side, 0 on the other. I'll add x to both sides and subtract 4 from both sides to get x squared minus 3x minus 4 less than or equal to 0. So at this point, I'm going to call the left-hand side of this inequality my function f of x. And I'm going to create a sign diagram for this function. So to do that, I need to find the zeros for f of x, and then I need to check around it whether it's positive or negative. So to find the zeros of the function, I set it equal to 0. And we cross our fingers and hope it factors nicely, which it does. X minus 4 times x plus 1. So from x minus 4 is 0, I get x equals 4. And from x plus 1 is 0, I get x is negative 1. So those are the critical numbers I put on my number line. And now I look at test values around it. I know that at negative 1 and 4, my f of x is equal to 0. And now I check a number less than negative 1, so negative 2, a number between negative 1 and 4, say 0, and a number bigger than 4, say 5. I'm going to plug these into my f of x. I can plug it into my original formula for f of x, or I can plug it into the factored form, whichever one's going to be easier. And all I really need to know is if I get a positive or negative out. So let's try f of negative 2. If I plug negative 2 into this formula, I get a negative times a negative, so I get a positive. If I plug 0 in, I can plug 0 in to this formula and see quickly that I got a negative. And I can plug 5 in to this formula. I get a positive times a positive is a positive. Alternatively, I could have gotten this sign diagram by thinking of this parabola x squared minus 3x minus 4. And since it's a happy parabola, I know the end behavior looks like this, which means it's going to be positive to start off with, then negative, then positive again. So that's a way to do it geometrically. All right, so what's this sign diagram tell me? I'm looking for where f of x is what? Less than or equal to 0. So less than or equal to 0 would be the zeros, along with any place it's negative. And so I momentarily get, for my answer, I'll draw it out on the number line here, -1, 4. Everything between -1 and 4, including -1 and 4. But now I have to go back and be cognizant of what case I'm in. The case I'm in, I'm looking at x strictly less than 4. So the only part of the number line I care about is things to the left of 4. So I don't care about anything over here. I just want the part of the answer that lies on this part of the number line. And so temporarily, I'm going to have to exclude that endpoint to fit the x's that I'm looking at, x less than 4. Okay, so from the case 1 answer is -1 including -1 to 4 excluding the 4.